Oh, baby, do you know what it's worth? Rodrigo Hernandez is the best on earth. Hey guys, Nathan here, back again with another video. And in today's video, I'm just gonna do probably a bit of a recap on everything that's went on this week, because obviously it was transfer deadline day today, I think, or was it yesterday? No, it's today. Transfer deadline day is today. Obviously we had the Champions League draw yesterday. City have made some new signings, a new signing. We've had some players leave. Obviously, we've got a Champions League group, and I just thought I'd sit down and talk about it, because obviously that's what I do. I sit here, talk about football, mostly Man City. But yeah, anyway, so let's start with, obviously, the player that's left the club is Cole Palmer. He's went to Chelsea for, I think, £45 million. Which is, to be fair, it's not a deal that I saw coming. I thought if he was leaving, it would be on to West Ham on loan, was what I was seeing a lot of. And then if he left, it would have been on loan if it was to another club. But obviously Chelsea coming in £45 million, and you know, I like Palmer. He's not my favourite player. Sometimes I've watched him play and he's been terrible. Sometimes I watch him play and he's been good. But you know, it's sad to see him go. But £45 million, I can't complain. I just don't really see how that's a good deal for Chelsea, though. In my opinion, I don't think it's a good deal for them, because they just buy all these attackers. Because what they've got: Sterling, Madueke, Mudryk, Jackson, and Kunku. Now Palmer. There's a few others in there that I'm forgetting because they've got better players. But yeah, they've got all these attackers, and like, realistically, you're only playing like 3 attackers, like max. So I think they play a 4-3-3 as well, or they at least play with 3 attackers. So yeah, and again, I don't see him getting in there in front of Sterling, Jackson, and obviously you got Mudryk there. That guy's cost £100 million. Like, you know, like all these different variables. I'm just thinking, where, like, I think his game time is probably more limited at Chelsea than it would have been if he stayed at City. But obviously we've sold him because they don't are bored, and Pep clearly think that he's not going to get that much game time with Doku now at the club. Obviously Grealish, Foden, etc., Bernardo Silva. So clearly they didn't see that he had that big of a future at the club. Well, or if he did, then you know the money was still too good to pass up, because his role in the team wouldn't have been that influential. So again, I don't see it as a bad deal. It's the same with a lot of our youth signing, our youth players that we sold. To be fair, the only one that I really was ever opposed to was Lavia. After I always wanted Lavia to succeed at City after seeing what he did for the under-18s and in Premier League 2 and stuff like that. When he was sold to Southampton, I wasn't best pleased, especially because we brought in Calvin Phillips to replace him, and I sat there at St Mary's and watched that cup game where Calvin Phillips got bossed by Lavia for, I think, 60-ish minutes, 50 minutes, however long they were on the pitch for. And yeah, no, I think that was bad business. Selling Lavia was bad business. Selling Lavia and bringing in Phillips was bad business. I don't think selling Lavia was bad business, and I don't think, actually, no, bringing in Phillips definitely was bad business, but as a combined, it was definitely terrible business. But that brings us on to, obviously, I said that we signed Doku. Obviously, in one of my last videos, I was talking about how we're looking at signing him, and we were looked to be getting over the line. We have got that one over the line. He was on the bench against Sheffield United last weekend, where we won 2-1. Obviously Rodri getting another important late goal, and like I said at the start of the video, he's the best player in the world. Rodri is the best player in the world. Especially after, because he was good not last season but the season before. Obviously he scored an important goal on the last day of the season to equalise against Villa, which then led to Gundogan scoring the winner and us winning the title. He was very good that season, but last season he was incredible. Obviously, he played pretty much like most games for us in our treble winning. Scored important goals, important blocks, important interceptions, important tackles. Obviously, scored that goal in the Champions League final to win us the Champions League to complete the treble. No, he's a special player. And I'm excited to see more from him this season, especially since he said that when playing with De Bruyne and Gundogan, that he had to sit deeper because obviously they play a more advanced role. but he said that playing with Kovacic, because Kovacic likes to sit a little bit deeper than Gundo and De Bruyne, that he feels that he can go forward and express himself more further up the pitch. And as we've already seen this season, with 3 games in, and Rodri's got 2 goals and an assist, which is pretty decent. It's pretty good. So I'm really excited to see what comes from him attacking this season, if he can, because he's not bad going forward. He's never been bad going forward. He's a good goal scorer. He's very good at passing. He's decent in transition. He's not too bad on the ball for someone his size. He's quite good on the ball. And I'm excited to see more from him going forward this season, like in an attacking sense. Obviously, speaking about new signings, speaking about midfielders, Kovacic. Obviously, I made the video a few months ago now, or a month ago, 2 months ago now, about how we signed Kovacic, and I'm impressed. I'm impressed with him so far. I didn't really rate him too highly when he was at Chelsea, but it's because I don't know, I think it's just because a lot of what he did was just leading to nothing, because that's just what happened with Chelsea. So it just felt like he was doing all of this stuff for no reason. But now, a lot of what he does seems to be done with a purpose, because we're keeping the ball, we're creating more chances and stuff like that. And he really does fit the Pep Guardiola system well. He's and especially with De Bruyne injured, he brings what we usually miss when De Bruyne's injured, which is being able to drive with the ball, being able to carry with the ball in transition, taking us from defence to attack with his driven runs, being able to keep the ball at his feet while moving, progressing up the pitch, which is always good. Obviously, we've now confirmed the sign of Matteo Nunes from Mateus Nunes. That is how you pronounce his first name. Anyway, whatever. From Wolves for, I think it was £53 million, which isn't a bad deal. Obviously, I've seen him play a few times. I've been relatively impressed with what I've seen from him. It's going to be very interesting into how he fits into our fold though this season in midfield, but I can't see there being too many problems with him and how he plays. But then again, actually I don't know, because I think we'll be fine. But obviously now it just looks peak. It looks peak for Phillips, because there's just too many midfielders now. Because even if Rodri's not fit, we could probably play Cover as a 6 and get away with it. So just like how we play Gundo as a 6, and we'd get away with it. So yeah, it looks long for Phillips now. Apparently he's going out on loan to Liverpool potentially, which I'm not really opposed to. It's not great at the end of the day. Obviously going to Liverpool, sending him out to Liverpool, but I want what's best for him, and I want what's best for the club. He's not getting game time here. We kind of need him off the wage bill and clogging up space in the club. You know what I mean? It's best for both worlds if he leaves either on loan for a season and then gets sold, or just gets sold. But obviously, with it being deadline day, he'll probably go out on loan. But I'm thinking that he'll end up staying at the club. Obviously, we've got Vardiol as well. He's played a handful of games. Played a few games now, 2 games. I'm very impressed with what I see from him as well. I think what makes him different to a lot of our defenders is he's very quick, and he's very happy to bring the ball out from the back. He goes on quite a few driven runs down the left when he picks up the ball, and it's quite refreshing to see, because sometimes our defenders would be quite hesitant to do that. And if they are doing that, they can't really move. Diaz can't really move that quick. Obviously, Ake is quite fast, and Walker's obviously rapid. But when it comes to a central defender like Ake, Akanji, and stuff like that, he's the fastest one we've got, so he can move forward with the most pace. So yeah, I think he's a good signing. Obviously, he has to be a good signing for the amount of money we paid for him. But I think he's gonna come on well, and I honestly think that we should win the league. We should get 4 in a row this season. I can't see a reason why we don't, especially we started the season strong. We don't usually start the season strong, but we started the season strong, so I really can't see a reason as to why we don't win the league this season. With that being said, I don't really mind about winning the FA Cup again, but I want to win the League Cup again, because obviously we've got a lot of players in the club now that weren't here 3 years ago when we last won it. So, they can get that in their trophy cabinet. Haaland can have it in his trophy cabinet. And that moves on to the 4th trophy that is up for grabs this season. Well, obviously, you've got the Club World Cup. But just ignore that. I spoke about that in the previous video. The Champions League. Obviously, The groups were drawn, and the only ones I can remember off the top of my head are Newcastle's group, which is Dortmund, AC Milan, PSG, and Newcastle. I think that's a challenge for Newcastle. I think Newcastle will probably. I think they'll finish third in that group. I think either Dortmund or Milan will finish rock bottom. Wait. Yeah, I think Dortmund or Milan will finish rock bottom, right? And the other one will finish second. I think it just really depends on who wins their fixture, because I think one of they're guaranteed. I think Newcastle will lose at the San Siro. I think Newcastle will lose all of their away games, but I think they'll win their home games. And except the one against PSG, so I think they win 2 of their home games, which obviously puts them on 6 points. I think now that I think about it, actually, I think Dortmund finish rock bottom. I think it then goes Newcastle, and then Milan, and then PSG. But onto the real group, onto the group that everyone cares about, which is obviously Manchester City, RB Leipzig. Again, this is the 3rd year in a row that we'll play Leipzig in the Champions League. RB Leipzig, Red Star, and Young Boys. Everyone's on Twitter complaining, going, "Oh, City always get the easy draw. City always get the easy draw." We're champions of Europe. We're in pot 1. Champions of England. We're in pot 1. Of course, we're going to get an easy draw compared to Newcastle that are in a lower pot to us, where they're going to come up against big teams. We're not going to get drawn against another pot 1 team, and all the big teams are in pot 1. So, it's like, use your brain. Makes sense. I could understand if we were finishing 4th every season and getting an easy group. That would make sense. As to be like, oh yeah, it's a bit weird to see you get an easy group. But no, we're pot 1. We've been pot 1 for the last 3 seasons. It makes sense. It makes a lot of sense. But yeah, I think we win that group. I think we top that group. I can't see us losing a game. Maybe Leipzig away, potentially. Depends how quickly we get the group wrapped up, to be fair. But yeah, so I see us topping that group, and I honestly think we can win the Champions League again. I think, because obviously in one of my previous videos I said Bayern are going to win the Champions League. They might. I wasn't too impressed with them against Leipzig. Obviously in their 2 games after that, Kane's done a bit of a mad thing. But the first game in the Super Cup, I wasn't impressed with them at all. So I do think it's between us and Bayern to win the Champions League, because obviously Bellingham's in good form for Real Madrid, but they don't have Courtois. They've got Kepa. They've done the Chelsea. They've downgraded from Courtois to Kepa, because obviously Courtois has done his ACL. And you don't win Champions Leagues with Kepa. No, you don't win Champions Leagues with Kepa in goal, because Chelsea have Mendy in goal. So yeah, you don't win Champions Leagues with Kepa in goal. You can win them with him on the bench. You don't win Champions Leagues with Kepa in goal. And I can say that and not look like an idiot, because he was on the bench. So yeah, I think it's between us and Bayern who wins the Champions League. I think United probably get dumped out round of 16 quarters. Probably the same for Arsenal as well. Newcastle go down to Europa League. We make the semis. At least we make the semis, but I do think we'll win it. As our Bayern depends on where we draw Bayern actually in the thing. Because if we draw them in the quarters or whatever, then maybe it's we don't make the final, of course. Because I still think it's between us and Bayern to win the Champions League. But yeah, there's nothing really else I have to discuss, I don't think. Yes, I do. Saka winning the Young Player of the Year is a disgrace, because if Haaland wins Player of the Year and he's also eligible for Young Player of the Year, how does it make sense that he wins the better one and not the lesser one? Doesn't make much sense to me. Let me know your opinions down below on that, on the PFA Player of the Year awards, on the Champions League, who you think is going to win the Champions League, who you think is going to win the league, and on Manchester City's business this season. Leave a like if you enjoyed the video. Comment down below what you want to see next, and make sure to subscribe. Helps the channel grow, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.